All right, thank you so much, guys. I welcome everybody to this wonderful program. Guys, please tap. Expensive, God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. I need all of you to help me tap and share this live so that we can bring in every other person inside it. Remember, if you're a woman, the program for today, Saturday, is Resilient Roses. That is Resilient Roses program. I've already explained what a resilient woman is, right? Good evening, my darling Asarov. Thank you so much. So, in today's Resilient Roses, we are going to touch a very, very dear topic to me that is affecting our women because today is women's program. I know we have men's program. Men's program is tomorrow, Sunday, as from 5. But if we're going to have any network issue, I'd rather leave it at 6 p.m., right? So, whatever we are discussing today, if you're a man watching us, you shouldn't feel offended. You shouldn't be angry because today is Women's Day. It is their day, it's their program today. When it gets to men on Sunday evening, yes, as a man, you can spill it out. You can say it the way it is. You can let out your grievances. Then we'll trash it out. Why our fellow women learn from you guys, right? But today we are discussing about our women, of which I believe you have a mom, you have a niece. I'm talking to men in the house right now. I believe you have a mom, you have a niece, you have sisters, aunties, the ones you love. You have them. So you have a lot to learn from this program to also encourage them. So I just wrote the topic here. The topic I put out there is when abuse hides the truth as imagination, or when abuse shows truth as imagination. When abuse hides truth as imagination. Now we're going to elaborate this very well in a way we all will be able to understand what we're trying to discuss here. You know what we mean by abuse? We're talking to women right now. So many women are being abused. So many women are being abused in their relationships, abused in their marriages, abused in their workplaces. So many women are receiving abuse on daily basis, right? Now, the worst, I know we have physical abuse, we have emotional abuse. Another abuse I need to point out, we do not talk about all the time. People do not even know it exists, in as much as it happens to you or it happens to us women. But if you do not know what it's like, you'll be confused. Now, this abuse is when abuse hides the truth as imagination. Let's talk about this one while I wait for Victoria, my co-hostess, to join us. Let's talk about this. Now, again, before I proceed, remember this program, how we run this program. Please, any woman who wants to speak, if you want to air your grievances, if you want to spill it out the way it is, please just let me know. Indicate down there on the comment section and I will bring you up, right? That's the way we run this program. It's an interactive session. We allow our women to speak their mind. So remember, if you have one or two things to say concerning what we're about to discuss this evening, please indicate on the comment section. I will bring you up. Then we can trash it out. But while we wait for people who wish to come up to say one or two things they know about the thing we're talking about, let's elaborate this. Let's discuss on this abuse. When abuse hides truth as imagination. Let me say it this way. For example, when you look at a woman that has been brutally abused in every possible ways of abusing people or abusing anyone, it gets to a point when that woman starts talking. You know, abuse can make anybody to move back inside your shell and start hiding, thinking that you are alone, thinking that no one faces exactly what you are facing. But unfortunately, for the people that are being abused, there are other people out there who faces exactly what you are facing. Now, this particular abuse we are talking about, when it happens to you, you go back into your shell ordinarily. It doesn't mean you truly want to go back to your shell. People like the women are so scared because, first of all, they don't know who to trust. They don't know who to believe them. They have lost confidence in themselves, right? They have lost confidence in themselves. They don't know exactly what to do or how to move about the whole thing. Now, here's the thing. The moment that woman decided to let her voice be heard, like after hiding for months, for years, depending on how long your own takes you, the day they come out and decide to share it, there are some people who abuses them that will start telling others, she doesn't know what to say. She's imagining it. Or you see that woman complaining to, for example, a friend, or complaining to a relation, or complaining to maybe someone she knows, and the person, if the person is also an abuser, the person will say, it is all in your imagination. You don't know what you're saying. Calm down, you'll be all right. This is the worst of every abuse you can think of. This is the worst of any abuse whatsoever you can think of. When you are complaining something to someone and the people tells you something like, no, it's in your imagination. That's what I mean by when abuse hides truth as imagination. That can make anybody to run mad. You know this thing we call depression? Depression is actually real. Depression can worsen, like for anxiety, anybody that is passing through this thing we are discussing about here is already having an anxiety. Is already having an anxiety. Now, in that state of having an anxiety, you now decided to open up. You know one thing about this life, it's not easy to tell your story. It's not easy to share it. It's not easy to come out and open your mouth and start telling people how they are treating you badly. It's not an easy thing, right? Now, you decided after hiding for so long a time, and maybe you decided to open up because you don't want to die in the process of keeping quiet. And you now move to someone you believe that have your interests at heart. It's always hurts when it's somebody you love so much, somebody you believe that loves you as well, somebody you believe that is standing there by you, that has been there by you, with you, all through thick and thin. Now you move to this person. You start explaining, you open your mouth and start narrating what you are passing through. And the person tells you something like, oh, it's all your imagination. Nothing like that is happening. Oh, you are just imagining things. Just calm down. Right? It's enough to make anybody to run mad. It's enough to push you into depression. That is why I say when a woman begins to let out her voice, to say the things that she has been passing through after hiding for so many years, or depending on maybe months, years, whatsoever, and she decided in the long run to open her mouth, to spill the beans. Remember, like I said before, it is not easy to talk about what you are going through. Let's be honest here. It is not easy to tell another person, a third party, I am passing through this thing. I was beaten the other day. This happened to me at the office. I was chased out of office, or my partner this, my husband. It's not an easy thing. Before you think of opening your mouth, yeah, expensive. Yeah, you're right. It's not easy at all. Before you think of opening your mouth, right, to tell another person, a third party, this is what I'm passing through. You must have thought about it. You must have slept over it. You must have endured a lot of things. You just make up your mind and say, let me go and tell this person what I'm going to, in case if anything happens to me. At least let them know what I've been passing through. All for that person to say it's all in your imagination. That is, you calm down. Nothing is happening. The worst that can happen to you as a woman is sometimes you go to that your partner or your husband's friend that you think that cares for you so much, to report what your husband is doing to you, or to report what your partner is doing to you, believing and expecting them to talk to them and help you out in the process. Then the next thing you hear, the person will tell you is all your imagination. It doesn't happen. Go home. Go and sit down. Calm down. Pray. Everything will be all right. Now, this particular one we're talking about is enough to send anybody to early, in fact, to their depression state. And when the depression state goes, saying something like, oh, she's going mad. She's running mad gradually. And your abuser will not have the ground to say, I told you people, I told you, look at her, she's a crazy woman. She's a crazy woman, don't believe whatever. Person you are talking to or you are telling the story tells you it's all in your imagination. Go home, just calm down, everything will go wrong. It's not happening. You don't know what you're saying. The first thing you need to do is to desist from such person. Move away completely from that person. You know what? That person is also an abuser. That person is also in line with the people that are abusing you. If you can be crying and sharing your story and a full-fledged adult will deem it fit to tell you, you don't know what you are saying. Hello, no adult does not know what they are saying. You don't look at an adult and tell an adult it's all in your imagination, like as if they are kids. Right? You don't look at an adult's face and tell an adult it's all in your imagination. You don't know what you're saying. Right? That's so abusive. And that is why when somebody runs into depression, like I've said severally, Ezoculture, welcome my darling, you're gonna speak soon. Okay, just hold on for us. Like I've narrated this. If care is not taken whenever you are in your depression state, if care is not taken, the next thing is madness. The person is heading to madness. Right? So, and that is what we are trying to avoid. So instead of you finding yourself in that situation whereby you've been narrating your problems and nobody cares to listen to you, nobody wants to listen to you. You know why? Because your abuser must have spread a whole lot of lies against you. Your abuser must have said a lot of things and made people not to believe you. But it takes only a good person. It takes only someone who actually knows that bad is bad, wrong is wrong, right is right. It takes such people, right, to actually listen to you carefully and know that you are telling the truth. Because, like I said, no adult comes out to blah. Every adult knows what they are saying. When an adult decided to open her mouth or even his mouth to tell you the painful things she's passing through, right? Like I told you guys, remember, it's not an easy thing to open your mind to start telling what you are going through, especially when you are being abused, because we're in a society that is so corrupt, or let me say in a world that is so corrupt, where people chase money, a world where people prefer money to humans, where people love money much more than a human's life. So anything can happen. That is why when you are telling your story, after years of enduring and after years of sealing your mouth, one day you said, no, I am going to this person that I know so well to tell him or her, this is what I've been going through so that I can get help, or at least let someone else hear me out in case if anything happens to me tomorrow. Let me not just, should anything happen, let me not just keep my mouth shut. Nobody will hear my truth. Or for you to go to that so-called person to narrate your truth. And the person looks at you and says something like, oh, it's all in your imagination. You're just imagining this. Calm down, just go home. Relax, take a deep breath, sleep, drink water. It's an imagination. This is hell on earth. Hell on earth. When you go to such people and they kept on saying such, like I said here, this is from them. They are also part of the people abusing you. Several things might be in the line. It could be that they've been bribed by your abuser, or they have been told lies by your abuser, and they chose to believe. Because when you meet somebody who is actually good, no matter the lies an abuser tells that person, the person will still stick to the truth. But how many of them do we have? We're going to get right back to that one. So let's welcome our hostess, one of our hostess, Victoria. Ezoculture, please, we're going to welcome Victoria in the house, right? She's also one of the hosts. So that let us speak, then also Ezoculture, you will speak later on. Victoria, thank you so much, my darling. I logged off like you people advised me and back again, and voila, the network came in. Thank you so much, Victoria. Can we hear from you, Victoria?
Oh yeah, hi. Oh, I'm glad that it's better now. Yeah, we can hear you. How are you? How are you? As a good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or good evening, whatever your time
All
is.
right, good morning, good evening.
Good evening from this end, and good evening, ma.
Yeah.
Honestly, good morning from this side.
Yeah. So I really love the topic that we're talking about today, and I kind of wanted to look at it from it's kind of similar to what you're speaking about, but for me, I want to kind of reference what you talked about probably the people around the abused are part of the process, right? They're part of who are helping the abuser carry on what they're doing. And that's what you call secondary abuse. People
Yeah,
don't talk much about it. People don't put emphasis on it. They always target the abuser and put all the blame on the abuser or
yeah,
the victim, right?
yeah,
So, but nobody talks about the secondary abuse. Now, when we're talking about
yeah,
secondary abuse, what do you understand to mean secondary abuse? Secondary abuse happens when people around the victim do not acknowledge, do not validate the feelings of the abuser. So you often see women who, or whatever the case may be, or even in-laws, where you go to your family and tell them, "Hey, my in-laws, my mother-in-law is causing me harm. They are insulting me. They are making my life miserable." And instead of people saying, "Wow, this is wrong. Let's see what we can do to fix it," they ask the abuser, "Oh, go home and become a better wife. Stop complaining. Give her respect." Right? So they invalidate what the experience that the person is having. So same thing happens for somebody who is being abused. In most cases, the secondary abusers causes more harm than
yeah,
good to the abuser.
yeah,
So being able to understand what that is very important because it also helps the abuser, the victim, realize what is really happening to them. Oftentimes, they will go, to seek for that help, or even from a therapist. Everybody's pointing at you and asking you, "What are you doing wrong?" Or maybe you talk too much, or maybe why are you not praying? Why are you not coming down? Why are you pointing out? So all the blame is now channeled back at the victim instead of supporting them. And when this
yeah,
happens, this can cause a lot of emotional distress and confusion because the person is now beginning to wonder, is this really happening to me? Is this what is going on? Am I just imagining what is happening to me? And they're not able to really understand, oh, maybe it's my fault. Oh, maybe it's my fault. Okay, let me do what people are telling me to do. They're telling me to go home and pray more. They're telling me to go home and be more kind and be more respectful. So for that reason, they remain confused. How do we begin to know or understand when we're experiencing that secondary abuse? First thing is when you're invalidated and you're confused. So anytime you talk to a friend, a family member, a neighbor, or anyone about what you're experiencing, and they don't validate your experience, they give you comments like, "Oh, I don't believe you. Oh, this person is a very nice person. They're so kind. They've not done anything to me." Realize at that point that you're being secondarily abused, or you go to your family and tell them that, "Hey, I'm being abused. This is what is happening. Can you talk to, my spouse, or can you see what you can do to help us resolve this issue?" Instead of listening to you and acknowledging all the things that you've listed that is happening, they will turn around and tell you, "Oh, it's your fault." Anybody that turns around and tells you that whatever you're experiencing is your fault is a secondary abuser. The other point that you should be
yes,
aware of to understand if you're experiencing secondary abuse is if they're giving you advice that is not safe. And that's why I caution people who are so passionate about helping people who are abused. People who say, "Oh, I want to help people who are going through things." You have to have a very good knowledge of what can happen and what is happening to be able to provide advice and support. Telling someone, "Oh, you're being abused, you need to get out." That's a good advice. However, have you considered what will happen to their kids? How do they have, will you provide a way for them to make sure that they have access to their kids? Would you provide a support that allows them to still have income? These are things that you have to look into before you start providing advice, right? So somebody who is giving you an unsafe advice is actually participating in that secondary abuse. And then thirdly, when they start blaming you and shifting the responsibility to you. So you come and you say, "Oh, yesterday I was like, having an argument or disagreement with my husband and he slapped me." And you say, "Well, why were you talking back at him? That is your fault. And that's why you got slapped." Or, "Oh, this happened with my in-laws. Well, it's your fault. What did you do?" And remember that abuse is not just limited to relationship between spouses. Abuse can happen between parents and kids. Abuse can happen between workers and bosses. Abuse can happen with anyone of authority with someone who does not have authority. So even between siblings, we see that happen too with siblings who have resources more than the younger ones. Because they're in charge, because they have money, they tend to, they might abuse the person. So blame shifting, unsafe advice, and feeling invalidated are all signs that you are experiencing secondary abuse. Now, how do you remove yourself from that? How do you begin to heal from that? It's important that when you sense, because it's not something that you realize at the beginning. This is something that sometimes takes years to manifest, right? Because in most cases, when abuse happens, most women will not talk about it. They will keep it because they're ashamed. We're made to be ashamed, or take, if your marriage is not working out correctly, it is your fault as the woman. If anything is going wrong, even at work, you're having issues with your boss, they say, "Oh, it's your fault," So because of that, sometimes we don't express what is really happening. And when that happened, that's why it could take years for you to actually be able to figure out that what is happening to you is an abuse. And it will take more years for you to figure out that the people around you are also in the process of abuse. They are also participating in abusing you. So once you begin to realize that you're experiencing that, what is the first step of you finding out what to do? You have to find the truth. And the truth lies within you, right? So you need to be able to heal, be able to discern and find what is the truth, what is really happening to me, right? Don't allow anybody to make you seem confused about what is happening or what is not happening, right? So if you're not able to seek the truth, the longer you will stay in that state of fog and confusion. So finding the truth about what is happening, finding the truth about what is being said and what is not being said about you, finding the truth about who to provide you with the guidance and protection that you need. What I will say to you though is when you're looking for that truth, make sure that you're finding people who are truth tellers.
Okay.
All right, so it's important that the second thing is for you to now surround yourself only with people who are truth tellers, people who will tell you the truth, not people who are getting information from a second party or from a third party, people who are actually looking at the case objectively and trying to figure out what is happening. Because when you surround yourself with people who are not truth tellers, you will get confused, they will continue to abuse you, and you will never remove yourself from that funk. You will never remove yourself or be better, right? And that's how that mental illness come into place, because the more you have people who cannot tell you the truth, who cannot help you, determine what is really going on, you will live in that state of confusion, and that confusion is what leads to your mental illness. So always surround yourself with people that will tell you the truth. If the people around you cannot tell you the truth, you need to let go of them. Everybody's not going to be your friend when you're going through that healing. It's not everybody that you will be in your life as you continue to find the truth. Anybody that did not tell you the truth need to be cut off. I don't care who they are, your family, your friends, co-workers, neighbors. Anybody that makes you doubt your reality is not a truth teller, and they need to go. There is no compromise when it comes to that. You cannot have anybody that is not speaking the truth to your life. And I've seen that happen. I've experienced that where, I've had people who I knew were being told, that were part of the people that were smearing my name. And each time I would ask them that question, they would deny it. They would say, oh, I didn't hear anything, even though they probably have said it like a few minutes ago. And then when I say, well, can you repeat what you said? They'll say, oh, I didn't say anything. And they would deny it. So the one thing you have to do when you start realizing that the people around you are not truth tellers, you have to let them go. And that's why the abuse journey is a very lonely journey. Why it might be lonely, it is also the way that you can heal yourself and find your vision and find the truth about who you are and become the best version of yourself. Anybody that cannot say, oh, I'm on your side, but is not telling you what is the truth, needs to go. The third step is being intentional or being very sure about what your next step in life is going to be. What do I want to learn from this experience? What should I do? What I will tell you is, do not make yourself a victim. You have to remove that victim mentality from your name. If they call you the villain, accept it. Because the minute you continue to regard yourself as a victim, you're never going to heal from that, because all you do is you will complain about what is happening to you. You will keep talking about your experience. You're ruminating over and over and over and over and over. Anybody that you see, you're talking about your experience. So be intentional. What am I learning from this? What is this supposed to do for me in my life? And then begin to change your footsteps. Begin to change what you do and begin to heal. The healing part of going through an abuse and coming out of it and remembering who you are and staying authentic to who you are is a lengthy process, and probably we'll talk about it in a different session. But you have to be intentional about what your next steps are. And when you make a plan about what your next steps will be, you also have to protect that information. You cannot let anybody be aware of what your steps are. Because at this point, you've recognized that you have a lot of people around you who are not truthful, who are not really invested in helping you to survive what you've experienced. So for that reason, you cannot trust anybody with the information about where you're headed next. Because somebody who did not protect you from the harm that was done to you cannot be part of your next journey. You cannot negotiate that. I understand that we live in a culture where we are made to believe that our joy comes from other people. We cannot be successful without other people. That may be true, but that can also not be true. The reason I said that cannot be true is that when you realize who you are, you know what your next steps are. The people who betrayed you cannot come with you, and God will make sure that the people who are going to help you elevate to the next step will be divinely brought to you by God. In most cases, people who suffered abuse, the people who helped them to heal, the people who helped them to be better, are not people that were in their life. Because the people that were in their life who were supposed to protect them betrayed them, they backstabbed them. So realize that when you find out what your next steps are, that you're very, very protective of that information. You cannot trust anybody. You cannot tell anybody what your steps are, because the minute they find out what your steps are, trust me, they will stop it because they don't want you. Somebody's invested in you being in that mentality where you feel that you are a victim, in that mentality where they feel that something is wrong with you. Everything that is wrong in your life is your problem. It's your fault. So you cannot allow people to come in and take that from you. The fourth thing is you have to know who you are. Who are you? Once you begin to realize that, oh, this has happened to me. I've gone through this abuse. I've been betrayed. And then you find out what your steps are. The next thing is, who am I? You have to be able to tell yourself, I'm this kind person. I'm somebody who has integrity. I'm somebody who knows what my next journey is. I'm somebody who wants to do good in this world. And why you know what you're going to do, it allows you to stay authentic to yourself. Because this is where the smear campaign against you begin to fall off. You cannot compromise who you are during this journey. All the smear campaign against you that was launched against you, all the lies that were told about you, when you know who you are, this is how you get your justice. Because people will come to you to try to bring you down. People will come to you to try to get a reactive abuse from you, where they will say something. The expectation is for you to burst out in anger and react and do something. They say, oh, yeah, see, this is what they said she is. But when you know who you are, nobody can get you to that level when you become upset and you start screaming and you start yelling. You cannot go back to that. You cannot go back to that reactive person. You cannot go back to somebody who just banters nonstop. Your words should be wisdom. When you speak, let it be knowledge that is helpful to people. You don't talk anyhow anymore. You don't go anywhere anyhow anymore, because you've realized who you are and you're healing and you know what your next steps are. So because you know who you are, the way you show up to the world, your authenticity stays with you.
What's your step?
Even when somebody from your past comes and say, oh, you don't even know who she is. She's a bad person. She's divorced. She's that. It's not going to change. It's not going to change your emotion. It's not going to change your reaction, because at that point, you've healed yourself to know who you are. And then what is the next step? The next step is, now that you've realized who you are and where you're headed, you have to, at all points, avoid any secondary abuse to continue. This is a painful part. The reason I said it's a painful part is because it is at the point where you have to let go of relationship that you've had with people for years. But the beautiful thing about this last step is that you've come to realize who you are. You have developed what I call self-love, and you now know how people should treat you and how people should interact with you. At this stage, nobody can sit at your table who is not willing to treat you the way you want to be treated. So when you go to a place and you're talking and somebody wants to bring your past to you, you get up and leave. You don't even argue with the person. You've healed yourself so much that you know the power of your voice. You know the power of your presence. Not everybody gets your presence anymore. So you have to protect yourself from getting back into that abuse circle again. So the people you associate with, anybody from your past who wants to be part of your life, they have to come to you authentic. If they cannot come to you authentic, they cannot be part of your life. Anybody that betrayed you, anybody that did not speak the truth concerning your experience, cannot be part of your future anymore. You gotta let them go. Not out of hatred. I'm not saying don't talk to them. I'm not saying don't be friends with them. You can be friends with them, but with boundaries in place. Anybody that heard what was said to you and did not speak up or defend or come to your aid cannot be part of your next journey. That's the mistake that most women or most people who suffer abuse make. So when you make that mistake, what happens? You go back to the beginning of yourself, and then you lose yourself, and now you have to try to dig yourself out of that. And most people are
Yeah.
not successful at digging themselves out of that circle the second time around. So when you've gone through that abuse, when you realize what is happening to you, and you begin to identify those who are for you, the people who speak the truth, and you know what your next steps are, make sure that going forward, only people with purpose, only people who are willing to love you will be around you. You cannot have everybody or anybody around you anymore. I don't care who they are. God will put people in your path that will bless you. Don't worry about it, because sometimes we worry that, oh, I won't have anybody to help me, or I need. These people never helped you. We make the mistake of believing that we need those people that betrayed us. No, you don't need them, because they never stood up for you. They never held your abuser to accountable to what happened to you. They let it slide. They laughed in your face and went in your back and laughed. They come and, oh, I'm so sorry for what is happening to you. But you spread lies that I was a thief when you know I did not steal anything. You called me crazy when you know I was not crazy. That lies were told so that when I speak the truth, that nobody listens to me. That's what abusers do. They reduce their victim to a mental patient, because they know that when the victim begins to speak the truth, that people will not see them the way they were being seen. So their ego, their reputation is important. So they would do anything and everything to destroy that image that you have, that integrity, so that nobody listens to you. So anybody that is your friend, that is your family, that heard your abuser call you a thief, knowing that you did not steal anything, cannot be part of your life. You cannot compromise that. So that is the mistake abuse victims make. When you heal,
For sure.
when you realize that what has happened to you has happened to you, when you get up and say, I've had enough, I'm moving on, there are people that cannot come in your next journey. It is sad, but it is what it is. You love them, but you have to love them from afar. You have to set boundaries. And this is what helps you when you decide to marry. If you choose to, you're not going to make a mistake of marrying people, because at that point you're no longer a people pleaser. You don't do things to please people. You're not doing things for people to like you. You're not doing things for acceptance or for validation. You've realized who you are. You stand in your authenticity. You stand in your truth, and nothing wavers it. Nobody can come and change the countenance of who you are on any given day. They might try, but because you've developed certain skills that allows you to self-reflect,
Yeah.
that allows you to go back in and think about, oh, this interaction I had with this person, why did I let them get me to a point where I'm offended and I reacted? You've healed so much. You have so much tools in your hand. You got to do the work. Let me tell you that. You got to do the work. It is not an easy peasy work. It takes stages. It takes years to remove yourself from every little funk that you were dunked into. Because your abuser dug a hole and put you in the hole and begin to throw things in it. They called you mad. They call you crazy. They call you lazy. They call you,
Ah.
oh, you're a horrible mother. You're a horrible wife. You're a horrible husband. You're a horrible father. Whatever the case may be. They were throwing dirt in your name. And each step, you had to climb yourself out. You had to climb yourself out. And each step that you have to climb out, you learned a lesson. You learn how to reflect. You learn how to stay in your power. You learn how to be by yourself and be okay. You learned how to not need everybody to be for you. You learned the strength to stand and say, I'm not going to give up no matter what. So when you have developed all of these skills and you get out, the last mistake you want to make is go back to the same pattern. You cannot go back to that. And that's how you win. You cannot continue to assume the position of a victim. We need to start changing our conversation from victim, victim, victim to empowering the person to realize that what has happened to you has happened. Things happen to people. We get that.
Good.
But now you need to take your power back. And how do you take your power back? By realizing the role that people around you, and that's why I refer to it as secondary abuse. You realize that the people that you needed to help you come out of what you were experiencing, that they did not do that. And for that reason, now your healing lies in your hand. You saving yourself lies in your hand. You cannot rely on anybody other than yourself and God to get you out. So there's no compromise once you recognize that, and that's how you save. Forget who, because people come and they talk about, she's not abused, her husband is mean, her husband is this, her wife is this, the wife is. But what are they doing to help you? If all they're doing is circling the abuse, they're not really helping you. I've joined groups where they acted like they were trying to save me. No, they wanted me to be somebody that they will humiliate more. So they wanted me to take ownership that I was crazy. I said, I'm not crazy. Nothing is wrong with me. I know what is happening to me. You cannot gaslight me to accept who I am not. So when I refused to give them the power to call me crazy, they had to go the next route. Oh, she drinks. I said, I've not drank in the last almost 5 years. Oh, she's a drug. I don't do drugs. Where did you get that? So they now try to humiliate me to make me go back to accept that something is wrong with me. I said, nothing is wrong with me. I'm not going to accept that. So you have to own your power back. And owning your power is being authentic by knowing who you are. It is important. If you know who you are, nobody's going to come and say something that you're not. And when they do, you don't have to respond. You get up and leave that table. I had to cut off a lot of friends, a lot of family, because nobody spoke the truth.
Yeah, that's it.
Hold on. That is on them. My healing is my responsibility, and we can heal ourselves. We don't need the community to gather. What you need is for you to say to yourself, I'm no longer a victim. I'm on my path to healing. I'm on the path of taking back my power, and I'm going to stand. Anybody that wants to make an accusation, you come to my face and tell me what I did, and then we can iron it out. And they run. Each time I challenge somebody to say what you said to me, they run away because they know it's a lie. If you do something wrong, the person should not be afraid to say it in your presence, in the presence of the person that you're saying it to. If they have to go behind you to say, you're not doing anything. They just want to humiliate you. They just want to make you feel less than because they feel intimidated by who you are. They know the power that you have. They know that you have a purpose, that you are put on earth to make changes, to bring life into people's life. And they want to take that away from you. So don't give them the power. Realize who your secondary abusers are. Take your power back. No negotiation, no pity, nothing. And then you will win. Thank you, everyone.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Victoria, and God bless you. Victoria spoke with wisdom. You know, we can feel it. We can hear her. She spoke with wisdom. And for all of you watching us right here, let me introduce her again. Oh yeah, Emmanuel say, give her a clap. She deserves it. She deserves it. She spoke with wisdom. She let it out the way it is. All right. I'm going to, okay. For those of you who are watching us right here, Victoria is my co-hostess. And this is called Resilient Roses because I noticed we have newer people here. We have new people in the house. And the rest of us watching, I recognize everybody watching us right now, even the people coming in here, joining us and liking and sharing the live. Please, guys, help us share this live so that we can reconnect with everybody who are watching. And yeah, the topic for those of us who wants to know about the topic is when abuse hides truth as imagination. And, you know, Victoria touched some points, some key points that I love so much that I will need to bring to light. Ezokocha is going to be the next to speak. But before Ezokocha speaks, let me say something here. I noticed that we have more of male in the house tonight. Only Victoria and myself are the women in the house. And I want to ask, what really happened, my kings? Because I call every male king, deserving male kings. What happens? We have you guys program every Sunday. Your own titles, Rising Men, every Sunday from 5, but tomorrow being Sunday is going to start from 6. And I hardly see you people. We hardly see you people, except Ezokocha and my co-hostess Victoria. And today being Resilient Roses for women, men are even the ones that came up more than our beautiful Amazons in the house. But I must acknowledge all of you, and I'm grateful you guys are even here. But I will encourage you to please join us tomorrow. Tomorrow is you guys' program, right? We are not disputing the fact that all of us are having Resilient Roses today, but whatever we are discussing here, I don't want you men watching us, all the kings in the house, don't feel offended, right? Because this is a platform that we give people voice. On Wednesdays and Saturdays are Resilient Roses meant for the ladies, and on Sunday is meant for the men. But whenever is any gender's own, like today is for our women, we let our women speak. We give voice on this platform. We are not judgmental. We don't judge anybody on this platform. We acknowledge and appreciate you, and we take you the way you are. And we allow you to vent your grievances should you have anyone, and also share your experiences with us. You are highly welcome on this platform called Resilient Roses. So whatever we're discussing here, men, I have my reasons for saying that, because 2 weeks ago, or was it last week, one of the men was listening when we are having Resilient Women's program and became offended. You know, nobody should be offended here. Once you know that we love and appreciate you the way God made you, you have no reason to be offended, but just to learn. Now, when it's tomorrow being Sunday from 6 o'clock, yeah, when you come in, you men, please vent it the way you are. We're all learning. We're all learning. Share it with us. If you are angry, if you feel you are hurt and you want to vent it the way it is, please, we welcome you open-hearted. We welcome you to say it the way it is, and we are not going to judge you, because we don't judge anybody on this platform. All we need to do is to empower each other and learn from each other and correct mistakes where mistakes needs to be corrected. So thank you once again, all of you. I welcome all of you here. So in respect to what Victoria shared out, there's something she pointed out, the secondary abuser. That's where I want to touch before Ezokocha speaks. Secondary abusers, like she rightfully said, are those people that when you report a case to them, which I said initially, it is not easy for anybody to come out to open up and tell you their secrets, what hurting them and the abuse they are passing through. It's not an easy thing. And the moment they do that, those people they report to what their abusers did to them, and those people decide to tell them, it's your imagination. There is nothing wrong. We are just imagining things. Please go home, relax, make your home, be happy, praise to God. These are secondary abusers, and if care is not taken, the most dangerous of them all. Because when you have them around you, in fact, you are stuck, nowhere to run. Nowhere to run to, because it hurts more, especially when it's somebody you love so much. You thought that will stand by you through thick and thin. Someone you thought that has your best interest at heart, and they now tell you things like you are imagining what you know that happens to you or is happening to you, and they open their mouth to say it's all in your imagination. These are secondary abusers and very dangerous people, right? Victoria rightfully said it, cut them off. If they cannot be there for you, they will never, ever be there for you, right? Now, in respect to what she said again, I want to say something. She pointed out something. Abusers are not only in relationships of male and female, which is true. We have them in children. For example, an adult abusing a child. That's the point I want to touch right now. We know that as an adult, when a fellow adult decides to be a secondary abuser in your life by letting you know that you are imagining the things that are actually happening to you, it is very easy. as an adult for you to cut them off. It's very easy for you to set boundaries. It is very easy for you to walk away. It is also very easy for you to tell them to their face, I don't need you in my life anymore. Now, what happens to our children? What happens when a child feels abused and reports to an adult? All for the child to get these answers from an adult he or she reported to. Go and sit down. You are imagining things. There is nothing wrong. Oh, you go. You are imagining this child is always behaving as if everybody is beating him or killing him. So let's talk about this, because our children are in danger if that's the case. So in the case of where an adult can set boundaries, a child cannot set a boundary. They don't even know the meaning. In a case where an adult can cut you off, a child cannot cut anybody off. They don't know how to do it. They don't even have the knowledge. They are still kids. So how do we help our children? And for those of us watching, please, if you know you are guilty of this, including myself, let's begin to have a rethink and stop it right now before it's too late. Why I said before it's too late, if a child grows up with such attitude of being abused around him or her, it's going to be disastrous. Because number one, when they grow up into adulthood, it becomes childhood trauma, which is always very difficult to let go, right? So when a child is being abused by an adult, abuse can be abuse. It can be abuse of shouting down on. You don't allow a child to speak. We're good at that in Africa. You see, Nigeria, we are good at shouting at our children. We don't let them speak. We don't even give them chance to air their grievances. We don't have the patience to hear from them. You shout at them and say, get away from here, go, on daily basis for years. Then the other abuses can be maltreating them or molesting them. And they go to someone. The worst part is that they go to their mothers to report to their mothers. And their mom will tell them something like, shut up, don't say it out there. You are imagining it. It did not happen. All because of what? It could be someone dear to the mother. Please, how do we put mouth into this and save our beloved children? Ezokocha, let me allow you to speak on this. Even if you have experience on what you went through, maybe you've been abused in one way or the other, maybe through maltreatment or your friends being looked down upon, that you want to share with us right now. Feel free to share that one, but please, let's put mouth into these children's own, because we need to begin to save our children. Our children cannot set boundaries. They can't even walk away from you. They can't even cut you off. So how do we save our children? Ezokocha, let me hear you speak. And again, please, as we're speaking, Ezokocha, please, I need you to speak, but let's be mindful of time, because the moment is 8 o'clock,
Yes.
we're going to close. Let's hear you speak, but don't take the whole
I'm
time.
trying.
And after you, Emmanuel will speak, because we need Emmanuel to speak. Victoria spoke long because she's also the host. She's a hostess, so it's allowed for her. But for our guests, all of you watching us, we love you, but please do not take time so that your fellow person, Emmanuel here, will be able to speak, right? So Ezokocha, thank you so much, my darling. You know I love you and appreciate you. You're always here for us. So let's hear you speak on this. Thank you.
All right, thank you once again. I will be so precise, and I will just say a few things, so that won't take much time. So the issue of abuse. First of all, we need to identify what is really abuse, because some people do really not know. That's the honest truth. That's what they are doing is abuse now. And coming down to that, you have types of abuse, right? You have physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, financial abuse, psychological, and the rest of them. So now, you see these things I'm listing out. Some people, I can tell you this for free, do not even know which one is which. And to tell you that, okay, I'm actually being abused at this particular point or at this angle. Now, if we are able to identify all this and know them to ourselves and for ourselves, believe you me, it will be minimal, and the society we are in will be a sane one, not an insane society like what we are experiencing in our daily activities, especially in this part of the world abuse is almost like a daily routine in other side on this other side of the world. So it brings me to this point where I can categorically tell you that for all these things to be off our shelf, first of all, you would have to deliver yourself, because by the time you understand that, okay, I'm actually the bone of contention here, because when you talk about abuse, where is it coming from? What was the cause? What brought it? And the rest of them. And if you're able to identify and trace the line as the thing is lined up and getting close to you and the rest of them, you should be able to deliver yourself first, because the best deliverance is self-deliverance. I tell you this for free. Now, how does that work? Just like Victoria said earlier, if you are able to man up and whatever anybody throw at you, you are able to shed it off, regardless of who the person is. You can just respect anybody, but you cannot be afraid of anybody. That is the honest truth. And by the time you realize that, because most cases where we are having this issue of abuse is what the one we call systemic abuse. Yes, but you don't know in your office or even your place of work or anywhere you find yourself, there's what they call ableism. Okay, maybe because I don't know how to type or how to chat, and you are good at that. You are good at typing and the rest of them. Now you want to rub it to my face that I do not know how to type, and that is where I'm lagging. You are already abusing me. But the challenge there is for me to know that you are abusing me. That's another thing for me to know, because some people do not even know, like as I said earlier. So by the time we are able to identify all these things, it will help us to go a very long way. And coming down to, I'm trying to generalize because I don't want to speak much. It is already 7:31. Coming down to the children, now as we are talking as a family now, supposedly, yeah, this is a family. Now we should have a send families from, or imagine, from everyone here, outside or immediately after this conversation, if he wasn't, because I know one or two will learn one or two things from whatever we're talking about this moment. Because the challenge we are having in the society when it comes to children's abuse is because it's coming from the home. Yes, because if you are able to sit your child down in the house, tell your child what she's supposed to know. Because thank God I started seeing campaigns and the rest of them where some group of people organize or gather children to tell them the real names of any part of the body. Not when they touch your body, uncle touched me, here. He say my blow blow. What is blow blow? You understand? You try to patch the word so that it doesn't mean like, okay, you don't want to spoil the child. You can actually, is it to spoil the route or spoil the child? I don't know which way they say it. But when we do that, tell the child the truth so that next time Mr. A or Mrs. A touches him or her at a point or at the one part where you don't want people to touch them, she can be able to tell you that this uncle actually did this to me. So you know who to hold responsible, because most cases, this spiritual abuse also contributes a lot, especially in Africa. You understand? So we try to sugarcoat things and people will use their spiritual authority. To be honest, some will usually use spiritual authority because I'm over you, I watch over you and all those things and the rest of them to manipulate a whole lot of people in the religion houses. It happens almost every other day. And by the time we take note of all these things and start addressing them, we will have a sane society. Because tomorrow, your child or my child will find himself or herself in that classroom where all these things are being taught. And if we don't get it right, how do we address it? Whoever that is in charge of that very religion or organization, please call a spade and not a working implement. Because the problem we are having, let me be honest. Do you know, at my level, it's just this year that I got to know what is short time. Sorry to say this. I never knew what short time
You
means.
got to know what? You got to know what?
Short time.
Oh, short time.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
So, so now I'm just okay. Imagine if this
Okay.
short time.
Wow.
So please let us call a spade a spade. So I don't want to take much time. In fact, I have a whole lot to voice out. But let me just give. Okay, who is coming up? Can you bring somebody up so that we have varieties, so that it doesn't look as if we are monopolizing the whole conversation as
I
usual.
think their problem is
The network is
because
something else.
Sorry, but it's been terrible throughout today. Always, anyway. All right. Thank you so much, Ezokocha. All right. Ezokocha just said he just learned what short time is. We've always known what short term is, and I love
What
what
is
you
that?
touched. I love what you said. You said our children needs to be taught about all those things. Now that reminds me of what I did before my birthday in my foundation. The children I take care of in my foundation, there are 112 kids that we take care of. We pay their school fees. We buy them school stationery and so many things. So I went to their schools one by one. I took out time with my team and went to their school one after another, right? This is exactly what I taught them that very day. I taught them the different touches on the parts of their body that they need to know that is a dangerous one. And when anybody does that to them, irrespective of who the person is, be it their aunties and uncles, teachers, friends, whosoever, that they need to scream. I told them to scream and report to anybody at all. They mustn't wait until they go home. They should scream and report to whosoever that is around that place. Now, as a coach, I love what you said because you made me to remember. That's exactly what I thought them. I even have it on record. It's on the video. Yeah, we recorded this so that by the time we showcase it out there on our YouTube page, people will get to know and start teaching their children individually back in their house. So like we are discussing here, today's topic is all about, like Victoria said, I wrote when abuse hides truth as imagination, and Victoria just put it the right way, and the shortest form of it, the secondary abuser. Those people that loves you thought that loves and cares for you so much, and in return you love and trust them. In fact, you overtrust them. They are always the people that kills you at the end of the day. Because of what? It could be that your abuser must have bribed them through paying them, or maybe your abuser didn't pay them, but your abuser has brainwashed them completely by saying so many negative things about you. Right? I mentioned the children's one, but remember, children and women, in quotes, are always on the receiving end. Yes, children. When I mean children, I mean boys and girls and women in a society are mostly on the receiving end, right? Then again, men do get abused, no doubt. Men do get abused very well, because we're treating the topic today as women's program, Resilient Roses. That's why we're saying that the secondary abusers are the most dangerous people you need to stay away from. Like Victoria said, cut them off. It doesn't matter who that person is. It could be a family member. But mind you, if a family can be there and an abuser does whatever he or she is doing to you, and a family tells you, go home, keep quiet, just don't think about it, make your home, you are imagining things. It doesn't happen. Such person is not considered or worthy to be a family to you, because he or she have already sold you out. So you can't say, okay, that's my family, my blood, I can't stay away from family. Victoria put it the right way. You cannot stay away from the family, but when you still allow them in your circle or within your circle or in your life, it's like you're having a viper around you because you don't know their next move. And that next move will definitely be disastrous, right? The next move would definitely be disastrous more than the first one. These secondary abusers we are pointing out today are not being talked about like Victoria rightfully said. They are hiding. They are quite hidden. People don't see them. They could be the people causing your death, unfortunately, but we do not see them because they are hidden. What we see as human beings are just the abuser himself or herself challenging, shouting, maltreating, doing all sorts of nasty things to you. Now we are forgetting that the secondary abusers could even be your best friend. A secondary abuser could be your family. A secondary abuser could be your uncle. Could be anybody you know. And the worst part is these people are the people you trust so much because you've seen scenarios where they have been with you. They stood by you, maybe by standing by you in a particular event that happened maybe a few years ago, some days ago, or months ago. That made you to believe and trust them with your life. Now, when your abuser, maybe your husband is the abuser, maybe your boyfriend is the abuser, or your sister or your brother, or someone you know, or uncle or auntie is the abuser in your life, when they start maltreating and treating you in a very nasty way, of course, the person you trust so much, you run to that person. You'll be fast. You'll be quick to call them on the phone. This is what happened to me. You are telling them, narrating. Why? Because you trusted them so much, even with your life. Now they are con people. These secondary abusers are con people. It could be your husband's friend that tells you, Madam, we know we love you, our wife, and you'll be cooking and dishing out. It could be a family member that comes and you go out of your way cooking, dishing out, serving drinks, and they've been praising you and something happened. You call them on the phone or you run to them. Then after reporting even the most secret part of the things that happen to you that you don't even wish to tell anybody, but you manage to open your mouth to report all those things for you, and what did you get in return? They'll tell you, Madam, just don't worry, calm down, can just go home. This thing you are saying, you are imagining it. It's not happening. It will never happen. And the worst part is you know exactly what you're saying. And that person is telling you you don't know what you're saying. You're already in that anxiety state because the anxiety is what drove you to them. You're scared. And you are reporting your deal to them. What is happening to you? All for you to hear from them is your imagination. It's not happening. I know my friend. He can't do that. I know my brother. What are you? Is he not this my brother? No, now he can't do that. What are you saying, my dear? Go home. You are just imagining things. Now, these are the most dangerous abusers. They are called secondary abusers. Victoria called them secondary abuser, and that's what they are. Very dangerous set of people. Now, when they tell you things like this, it's enough to send you into depression. Because number one, you've lost the trust. You don't know whom to trust again. You are now finding yourself all alone. Now, the question is, who will I run to? Who will believe me? Then if you're in that state of who will believe me, depression is setting in little by little by little. That's the way it goes. And what we are treating here is run from secondary abusers. You will not know them because they are con people. You won't know them until it happens to you. And it's okay to report to whosoever you feel that you can trust. I will tell you, it's okay to open your mouth. Watch what happens. When they act in this manner, first time, run. I didn't say second time. I said first time. Because if you ask me, must it be first time? Can they do it like a third time for me to know? Then I will tell you. Or rather, I will ask you, how many times Do you think you need to drink a poison before it kills you? Like I saw online, someone, a man said it to a lady that was busy asking about her abuser. And the question is, how many times do you think you can drink a poison before you know that it's going to kill you? So these secondary abusers, when they do this once, don't go back. Cut ties, set boundaries. Now, when we talk about cutting ties, sometimes it doesn't really mean like he's now your enemy or she's now your enemy. But you can boldly cut ties and set your boundaries. You can happen to meet him again, maybe inside a mall, or maybe inside a bus or a train or whatever. And they say, oh, hello. If you look at them, oh, hi. Mind your business. That's what I mean by cutting ties. Mind your business. Even when they come to you and say, okay, please, can we talk? Tell them, no. There is no need to talk. Don't give that room. Don't open that door, because they have shown you, whosoever that show you their true color once, believe them, take it in, move. Don't say, no, he might change or she might. No. First time someone shows you their true color, because when you want to know someone's true color, it's first encounter. It's not a second encounter. It's the first time. When it happens, take them the way they presented themselves to you. Believe them. Don't say, I don't think he will do that or she. No, you don't know them for real. You might think you know them because they are your friends, they are your besties, but in the end, you still don't know your bestie. You still don't know who that family is. So whatever they show you in the beginning, believe them, take their word for it, move on with your life, and set your boundaries on time. Let me allow, is it jubilation? I'm just seeing jubilee. I don't know what that is.
Good evening, ma.
Can I say something real quick?
Hold on, please. Yes, please, Victoria, go ahead. Jubilee, just hold on for us, okay? Thank you.
All right, so
Go ahead,
let's just give
Victoria.
us a minute. No, I just wanted to kind of highlight the points that Eze Okocha mentioned, and then how you tied it to abuse. I think one of the things that we don't talk about much as well is how sometimes kids are manipulated to kind of play a role where they're not really a secondary abuser, but they play a role. And this tends to happen when you're dealing with an abuser who is really narcissistic, sadistic, and a psychopath. That is what they do, and this happens a lot. I experienced this myself, where the kids are beginning to be coached. So they begin to coach the kids. This is without your knowledge, where they begin to let the child know that you're a dangerous person. You are somebody who is troubled. You are somebody who, something is wrong with you. Now, this is done very, very intentional. They make sure that the friends that your kids will have are people who will help continue to provide them with that information that that something is wrong with their mom, right? So now all the child will be hearing will be negative things about you. So within their friend group in school, their friends will talk negatively about the mother. Within their social group. Again, this can happen between whether a man or a woman. It happens both ways. Within their social group, they hear the same thing. They hear the same thing from either parents, where the either parents will tell them that, oh, your mom is this happens more to the women. Your mom is the problem. And in most cases, women don't catch that on time until it's too late. I had a case of a lady who, before she knew what was happening, the husband had kids against her, that she will ask them to wash plates. They will scream at her and tell her they're not going to do such things. And she'll be like, what? Come on, go wash the plates. And the kid will be like, no. And they'll begin to challenge the mom and, speak to her disrespectfully and just attack, just show her, and she's like, I'm your mom. Why won't you, so it becomes the line becomes very thin,
Understand.
where the woman crosses into now being seen as the abuser. This happens more than we choose to acknowledge. This happens a lot. And the man, because he has resources, He's getting therapists who speaks to these kids without your knowledge. They will organize play dates with their
Yeah.
friends, but the truth is that that play date, there is a therapist there who is being told to brainwash your child that there's something wrong with their mother, that hey, your mother is a narcissist, hey, your mother is an abuser, and this. And they do it in such a way that the child cannot come and tell you the truth. And when you question the child is supposed to report to them that your questioning is termed as abuse. That's what happens. So you asking your child, why are you behaving like this? Why are you being disrespectful? Then the child is like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. And then the next thing, your child uses the term abuse. And you're like, wait, what? What are you talking about? So they plan it so it's a meticulous, very demonic action that happens. So at the end of the day, what happens?
Yeah.
The woman is now being accused as the abuser. And then the child, it's very easy for the child to pick up the phone or to actually report the mom because they've been brainwashed that their mother, something is wrong with their mother. And my children were bribed. They were told they were going to get Mercedes. They were told that they will not have friends if they don't speak negatively about me. We're going to abandon you. I'm going to leave you and go move to Africa, and you're going to suffer because your mom doesn't have money to take care of you. So these are things that can happen to your child that you're fighting. Now, remember, you're doing all of this while standing alone. So people in your child's life are also there helping to manipulate your child to believe that you are the problem. So it's and then that's why you end up they say, oh, the woman was abusive to the kids. But if you look deep down and ask questions, and if God helps you, you have somebody who intervenes in the case that is able to see that this was all manipulation, the woman tends to go scot-free. In some cases, the women end up reacting and then they get put out, they get sent to jail for abuse. But if you look down at what has really transpired, this was all a setup. Somebody who is godparents to my daughter experienced that. Her husband set her up, brainwashed the kids to the point where they did not listen to her anymore, and to the point that her son slapped her. And when she reacted by slapping the boy back, the boy called the police on her. The police showed up and took her to jail. And she called her husband and said, did you see what I saw? An African man will say, how dare you? A real true African man who was raised right, who really loved his family, would have said, how dare you hate your mom? And it was the dad that told him to call the police on the mom. Before she now found out that, oh, this was all set up. So what saved her was the police that came and arrested her. When they got to the station, started asking questions, and the fact that it was the boy that slapped the mother first, they dismissed the case. So it's there's a thin line there. That's why I said people really need to understand how this plays. You're dealing with someone who is very manipulative. And people say, oh, well, why didn't you leave? Somebody who is manipulative to create situations that you think they're just going to let you get up and leave? Absolutely not. This man will torture you. They will torture you. They take your money. They go to your jobs. They make sure you have nobody. So whether you stay or you leave, they will come for you to the kids turn 18. And that's why some women, they're waiting for their child to get into college so that they can just walk away without fight. Because this men, they're ready to take you anywhere. They will keep you in court. But this woman that I'm saying, the husband kept her in court for 4 years when she tried to leave.
Wow.
He changed lawyers upon lawyers upon lawyers till the judge couldn't take it anymore. That the case got ended after 4 years was because the judge was like, I can't do this anymore. His lawyers were quitting on him inside court when the woman would talk about
that's demonic.
Yeah,
That's demonic.
That's demonic. People don't understand that, so people are quick to say, "Oh, this. Oh, this. You don't know the calculation this man put into place. Even before all of this happened, this man went and reported the wife that she's a thief, that she stole his money. Was saved, that was her name was on the check. She took it's their joint account. She went to do groceries with the check. He still called police on her. The police, it was the policeman that told her, you need to leave. This man wants you
Oh,
locked
wow.
up. He went and reported his wife. It's their check. She went for grocery shopping for the household. They're still married. And he said, oh, my wife stole my check. When they caught her at the store when she was paying, the police came. They looked at her name is there. They looked at the driver and was like, why is he calling us and say you're a thief? Your name is on the check. He said, this is what I tell people that I'm going through. So people need to understand that. And then he brainwashed her kids to say that she was an abuser, that she abuses them because she will ask them to do the dishes and they will say no. They will not respect her. They were talking down on her. They were disrespectful constantly. And she had to be careful because if she says anything, they were instructed to call the police on her and have her locked up. So several women here that you see that lost access to their kids, that's what happened. That's why I say you have to be very careful. You have to think. Because when I saw that that was happening to me, I became very careful. I knew how I spoke to my kids. I knew what I would say to them. I knew what I would do. I had to gradually begin to speak and ask them questions. And they started saying, they would say some things. I'll say, wait, where did that happen? That did not happen. And they were confused. It was as if my kids were given some brain altering drugs that they couldn't remember things anymore. All they could see, they were terrified of me. That was how bad it was. Because they were brainwashed. I did not know that this was going on. And meanwhile, I'm saying, I gotta go. And like, if you leave, we're gonna punish you. I would destroy you. So I had different sets of people coming for my life. Oh, you want to leave? We're gonna punish you for wanting to leave. Okay, stay. We're gonna punish you for staying. So there were different sets of, and that's people don't understand what it takes. It's so easy to come and speak about it, but you don't understand what it takes for the woman to be able to get out, because anywhere you go, this man will come for you. So they teach the kids to call the mom an abuser. I walk around as if that's the case. I had to start working with my kids differently. I had to start, and then everything started coming out. They started speaking. But now they prevent them from speaking to me about it and tell them it is abuse. If I keep asking them that question, then I'm being abusive by demanding that they speak the truth. And I told them, I said, I don't need anything. I just want you to be honest. Do not allow anyone to convince you otherwise of what is not happening, because they don't live here. You know what is happening, speak to it. Your promised cars, your promised money, you're not going to get it because you're hurting someone. So it's very, very easy for people to just add up things, but women get to a point where they're called the abusers of their children, but because they were actually trying to get their child to either speak the truth or be respectful. So women, I just had to mention that women have to be very careful. So when you notice that is happening, don't get to the point where they push you, where now the narrative is that you are the abuser of the children. Because your children have been manipulated. They've hired psychologists you don't know about that is talking to your child. Their friends will be talking to them and telling them their mom is a bad person. And then you're trying to get, as an African person, you're trying to get your child to be respectful, to learn how to do chores, and you're getting backlash. Stand back, pull back, and see what is happening, what's really going on here, so that you don't get to where you're now being locked up because you're considered an abuser. So women need to be careful, especially when you're, out in Nigeria, you can get away. People can be okay with you disciplining your child for being disrespectful, but here it's a little bit different. So if you're in Western world, be very careful how you start. So if you see your kids are beginning to act out of character, they're more disrespectful, they're speaking things that are not true, watch out. Learn how to speak to them, learn when not to speak, because they are being brainwashed to turn against you. I've been laughed at several times that, oh, very soon I got everybody to not talk to you. I'm going to get your kids not to talk to you. So, but then you decide to leave. The minute I say, okay, I'm going to leave, I'm going to go find an apartment, then there's a whole group of people who gang stalk you, who harass you nonstop. So it's like this person just wants your soul. So the abuse process is it's a very thin line. People need to understand how it really works. It's very easy for us to talk about it, but let's be realistic of what it really is and how it does happen.
Thank you so much, Victoria. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. But honestly, I must say, this is so painful to hear. It's very painful to listen to, because I can't even imagine what it's like, what you people over there are passing through. Yeah, we all look for greener pasture because of how situation of things is here for us down here. Hard lives and people suffering and all that. But honestly, this is one thing I love Nigeria for. If not for anything, I love Nigeria for one thing. No one tolerates any children talking back or talking down on any adults, not even their parents. If it's in Nigeria, your child talks bad about you or even run to the police station to report you. In fact, the police people will be the ones to find the cane and flog the child home, right? Now, I call this exactly what you just explained to us here. What I call it is, or using children as beds, whichever way we're going to put it. That's exactly what they are doing over there. Knowing fully well that the children you have in European countries, because of the way our culture differs, right? Down here in Africa, we believe in spanking our children. Then over there, they don't believe in spanking their children, and that's why they can manipulate children against anyone. They can manipulate them, and you rightfully said it. People living over there should be extra careful whenever they are dealing with their children, because you don't know what your abuser must have said to them just to get them to be on their own side and disrespect their mom or disrespect whosoever the person is. So I can't even imagine it, because the pain alone is enough to hurt anyone. Knowing fully well you carried these kids 9 months in your womb and gave birth to them, you gave them life. Not just giving birth to them, you gave them life. You created them. Because after God comes women. That's just the truth. Women are creation just like God, right? Now you gave them life, and the children are being used as pawn, manipulating them against the mom. That's the height of any abuse anybody can pass through. It would have been okay if you are going back and forth with the abuser, but your children shouldn't be involved in it. No one should use any child or children against any parent, right? So, like I said, I don't want to imagine it, because I can't even imagine it. But that's too painful to hear, how much more experiencing it. So, but at the end of the day, should we fold our arms? I think the answer is no. Everyone should still consider, still looking for options, because when will this end? You don't know. Assuming the child is still around 6 years, 4 years, 5 years, and everybody tells you just wait till they're grown, are you going to survive it? What if something happens along the line? We don't have our lives. It's only God that owns these lives. So we don't even know the number of years God gave us. So are we to fold our arms and watch everything keeps unfolding in a nasty way? I think, Victoria, something needs to be done about it. It can't always be until they are grown to understand. What if after growing up, they still choose to believe the negative side they heard about the person? So what happens at the end of the day? The person is going empty-handed after all the sufferings. I believe something needs to be done, but doesn't really mean we know that needs to be done. All I can say in these cases, as we're thinking and working towards finding another avenue to resolve the issue, we put it in the hands of God through prayer, because God can work so many miracles for us, right? God can do something for us, but left for me, something needs to be done. Because number one, that person, be it the mother or the father, is a human being with feelings. They feel the pain, they feel the hurt. How long can they go with this pain within their hearts? How long? Pain alone, if you're not careful, pain alone, as human beings we are, if you're not careful, pain can kill. Pain can damage anybody's brain. Pain can cause someone to be disabled in one way or the other. Pain can cause a lot. So how long should those people endure this pain, waiting for those kids to grow up to understand them? Like you said, you started working on yourself, started, gradually knowing when to speak and knowing when not to speak. I get you, but honestly, coming from Africa and being an African with our culture is painful. We are Africans. I don't know how an Africa can, you talk to your child, you keep quiet, it's funny, but that's not our culture, except when you find yourself over there in the European world, you have no choice than to, follow their steps over there, because you already live in there. But honestly, may God intervene for us and save us from the hands of our abusers. Honestly, let God handle it, because through God, you can get an idea. Through God, He can send people you never expected to come to your rescue, right? But at the end of the day, it's in the hands of God. But if you ask me if it's painful, oh yeah, it's painful. Even to hear about it, it's very painful. I'm sorry about it that is happening to our brothers and sisters over there, whosoever that is passing through that thing. Even your enemy, you wouldn't wish your enemy to also go through such a thing. Abusers are demonic people. They have demons in them, and that's why they operate in a demonic way. If you're watching, you truly do not know what a demon looks like or how a demon acts. Any abuser that you have around in your life, watch with the way they behave. For those of you who believe that evil spirits doesn't exist, my dear, watch abusers. They are not just doing that, they are possessed. Because no person in their rightful senses will be doing what abusers are doing to that extent, just to break another human being. So, in case you don't know, they're demonic possessed people. Honestly, they need deliverance. But while they are receiving their deliverance, may God take you away from their side. However He chooses to do it, I don't know. But allow God to lead. Thank you so much. Ezo Kocha, do you have something to say? We're going to close now.
Not really, but just for us to, take what has been said here.
Okay, my
very
darling.
serious.
Okay. Thank you so much. But
There's
Ezo Kocha,
another
we're expecting
thing.
you tomorrow. You are.
Of course, I will be around. I'm a family member already, and I would like to be
You
part
are
of
my
that your
family.
NGO as well for the kids.
Oh,
I have
thank
an
you so
outreach,
much.
as a matter
I'll
of
let you know
fact,
more.
in Oji River. I want to give out some things to kids that's Tuesday, and hospital. Yeah.
Whoa, thank you, thank you. You know what I'm gonna do? Eventually, I'm gonna post the videos and pictures of my children on my page on this
Okay.
TikTok. So as of course, you can look it up. Then we'll talk about that later on.
No
Okay, we'll
problem.
talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all right. Okay, ma.
Thank you.
Thank you
I'm
so
always
much.
excited whenever anybody wants to give them anything. It makes me happy because I see the way they jump and laugh and jump all over my body. It keeps me going, honestly.
Oh, that's so
Victoria,
nice.
let's hear you. Victoria, speak. I need you to speak. Victoria, I've always been passing through stress, and Victoria sent me someone that wanted to do a contest. It never took like I said, this country is seriously abusing me. I'm passing through abuse in the hands of Nigerians.
They are causing you emotional damage. They are causing you emotional damage. You need to sue them. But thank
Serious
you,
murder.
everyone. Thank you, everyone,
Please
for your
help us close this,
participation.
Victoria.
Yeah, for your contribution. The question you should ask yourself is, am I a secondary abuser? And if that's the case, think about what to do differently. Think about, what do I do differently? How do I not become a secondary abuser? This is one way to help, because if secondary abusers are taking accountability and doing what is right, I think abuse would have stopped by now. It won't be a topic of discussion. The reason it continues to happen is that these secondary abusers allow it to continue and don't hold the person responsible for their actions. And, so if you are, do better, do things differently. We hope we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Victoria, my darling. I love you as a coach. I love you, Glow. Zenith, God
Nice.
bless each and every one of you.
Right.
So let's see you guys here tomorrow, guys. 6 p.m. this time around, because I don't want this network to abuse me again. So network is my secondary abuser, but we're gonna do something
Yes.
about it.
All right, bye.
All right,
That's funny.
so from here.